My therapist did some psychoeducation today in session, and I wanted to pass some of it on. So, this leftover from therapy is the drama triangle. Forgive my terrible handwriting, but this is what it looks like. The rescuer and the persecutor are both on top, and then the victim is at the bottom of the triangle. And my understanding is this isn't talking about like actual victims from like abuse or something like that. It's more about the way that you approach problems, and I think this kind of happens with like enmeshment or otherwise families that don't have good boundaries or friendships or whatever relationship. In these types of dynamics, people tend to flip around at times, but most people kind of have one position that they often default to. And the person who defaults to a victim mode just generally feels disempowered, thinks that things are kind of helpless or hopeless, just kind of like crying out for help and wanting somebody else to rescue them. Meaning, like, make things better for them, solve their problems for them, etc. The rescuer position is basically the person who answers that call in a similar way to what the victim wants them to. It is somebody who swoops in with a little bit of like a hero vibe or kind of pities the person and tries to take over responsibility for that person's problems. The persecutor role is somewhat similar to the hero role, but it's like highly critical and it has more of an air of like, I'm right and you're wrong, and if you did things my way, then you wouldn't have this problem. And basically, the way to fix the drama triangle is for the victim to feel empowered and for the rescuer or persecutor to take less responsibility for the victim. So they would have better internal or external boundaries. So rather than rescuing the person, they might kind of like coach the person or guide the person rather than fixing the problem themselves. And on the persecutor side, it often comes out as like, you're wrong and you need to do things my way, and that is overstepping and taking too much responsibility. So it's appropriate to challenge people sometimes, or to kind of point out like differences if you disagree or if you think that how they're trying to handle something isn't going to end well. Like, it's okay to talk about that, but kind of expecting the other person to listen to you is where the over responsibility and like lack of boundaries comes in. So the persecutor would become more of like a critiquer or challenger and not a persecutor. It also was mentioned that people in the rescuer position often are overly focused on others and not focused enough on themselves. So they might kind of have a tendency to go looking for people who need help because they're getting something out of distracting themselves by being so helpful to others. And it's often about avoiding their own challenges.